Welcome to CodeBlaque Facts. Thank you guys for joining me, and please do not forget to subscribe. Thank you. Hello everyone. Welcome to the channel. So first of all, I don't want to hold you guys long. I want to be very quick on this particular topic. So we won't be talking about the drama that went on between Doja Cat and Lana Del Rey because it's old news now. But what I would like to address in this particular video is race. Like there to my surprise, there are a lot of black people who want so badly to claim Doja Cat, who has never claimed to be black ever. And I just think this is a conversation that needs to be had. And I'm going to bring facts. I'm going to break it down to you guys. And hopefully, you guys can kind of see things from a different perspective. So the reason why Doja Cat is even relevant, at least to me, is because she's recently was trending because she's been accused of being a racist. She's been accused of being self-hating herself. A lot of it had to do with, originally she got into it with another singer by a white woman by the name of Lana Del Rey. And they basically, to me, it was like one white woman fighting with another white woman. Like that, so I didn't pay it any attention. But and you guys, if you guys want to know what they got into it about, I'm sure you can go to Google or go to any one of the social media platforms. Just type in the name and you'll find a whole bunch of stuff. I'm not going to address that in this video because it's been addressed like so many times and it's old news now. Hey guys, don't forget to go to CodeBlaqueProducts.com and check out the hair, beard, and skin products. Everything is made with natural and organic ingredients. It is a product line that I own. This is my business. So again, if you guys would like to check out the products, go to CodeBlaqueProducts.com and I will place the link in the description box. Thank you guys. Bye. Okay, so what I'm about to say is going to make a lot of black people mad because, again, many of us, we so desperately want to connect ourselves to, mixed people, even the ones who have never claimed us. They have no inkling of wanting to be considered black whatsoever, but yet we will throw that title onto them. We will call them that, and then in the same breath get mad when we learn that they don't really mess with us like that. Like they don't really fuck with us like that. Like, you guys, it just has to stop. It's embarrassing, and this is one of the reasons why I'm doing the video. But Doja Cat is not a black woman, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to also bring facts, and I'm going to also bring evidence of why this woman is not a black woman. No mixed person. If you are mixed with black mixed with anything, you are not a black person. Socially, you may be considered to be black, meaning when you leave your home and other people in the dominant society see you, they will say, okay, that is a black person because maybe you're not white. But again, no, things are changing. This is not 1919 or 1622. This is 2020, and there is a whole group of mixed race people out there who self-identify as being mixed race and who also, feel like they don't have to pick either one. They don't feel like they have to choose whether they're black or white, that they are both. And that's perfectly fine. And we as black people, we shouldn't be mad about that. Like, allow them, if that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. A mixed person has every right to self-identify themselves as being mixed. Okay? You are not just one of anything if you are mixed. You're not just black or you're not just white. You are both. And if mixed race people would like to self-identify themselves as being mixed, then they can. It's that simple. Yes, and for those of you guys who say, oh, well, we're whatever the dominant society say we are, wrong answer. Not true. Since when did we start allowing the dominant society to call us whatever they want to call us, and we, just accept that. Not true. There are a lot of stereotypical things that we're called. There are a lot of, horrific, racist things that we're called that many of us do not subscribe to. So let's stop trying to pick and choose what we want to subscribe to when it meets, something that we so desperately want to connect to us, like a person who's mixed race, who's not black, they're mixed race. So let's just stop it. It's silly. Okay, so let's talk about race. Okay, so what is race? Race is a false classification of people that is not based on any real or accurate biological or scientific truth. In other words, the distinction we make between races has nothing to do with scientific truth. Race is a political construction. A political construction is something created by people that is not a natural development. It's constructed or created for a political purpose. The concept of race was created as a classification of human beings with the purpose of giving power to the white people and to legitimize the dominance of white people over non white people. That's what race is. And I'm going to break that down a little bit more. So basically, if you guys do your research, once upon a time, there was no such thing as race. Once upon a time, the only thing that existed were white and non white people. That's it. People were classified as either being white or non white. There was no such thing as black, Latino, Mexican, Arab. There was none of that existed. And even before then, like thousands of years ago, people self-identified themselves as the land that they were from, right? The land in which they were from, or, a pivotal river, or, something like that. A lot of people self-identified themselves with the land that they were from. It wasn't based on skin color. It wasn't based on, eye color, or how coarse your hair was, or how coarse it was not. It was based on the land in which you came from. That's how people were identified. There was no such thing as race. Race did not come about until you got a lot of Europeans that came over from Europe, decided that they want to enslave African people, and in order for them to do that in a manner that would help them have power and keep power over non-white people, against the African people, was to just say, hey, everybody who's pale skin is white and everybody who's not pale skin is non-white. Because we have to remember, when a lot of people from Europe started coming over to America, you had the Germans, you had the French, you had the English people, you had Dutch people. I mean, you had different classes or different genres of white people. And when they came over, um, it's not like they got together in a room in a meeting and said, "Hey, we're gonna all just consider ourselves white." But it was an unsaid understanding, because when they came over, they all had one thing in common. They wanted to build wealth. They wanted to, have wealth. They wanted land. They wanted freedom, right? And in order to do that, they needed slaves. And so, they all participated in that. And so that's how race was born. Race was born literally out of racism and slavery. That's how race was born. And to prove this, I went to the a government site, the United States Census Bureau, and it's a map that basically maps out the different classifications of race throughout the decades. Starting with 1790, the year 1790, they had three classifications. One was slaves. That was an actual race back then, right? Or ethnicity. That's what they classified it as, right? You had free white female and males, and then you had all other free persons. That was 1790, okay? I'm not going to read all of them. I'm just going to read a few. Um so the only that stayed the same up until 1830, where you had slaves, free colored persons, free white people, female and males, all other free persons. Okay, that was 1830. By the 1850s, you had classifications. You had black, mulatto, white. Okay, that was by 1850. By 1860, they had Indian, Chinese, black, mulatto, and white. Okay, I can keep going. But the point is, you guys, this they changed this thing how they see fit. Okay? How they see fit. When they want to add a classification or take one away, they can. So if they want to add the classification of being mixed, which is an actual classification, which will probably be coming in the near future, they can do that. They can do that. Okay? Remember, race is technically it's not real. It's race is not backed up by anything scientific. Race is the name that they put the title that they gave to classify people based on racism, based on a racist construct. Before then, there was no such thing as race. You were either white or non-white, and that was it. And then, of course, they started breaking it down into slaves. So you wasn't even human. It was just slave. You was just a slave. Okay, and then eventually it went into mulatto. We all know what the mulatto class was. The mulatto class was an actual class, and they need to bring it back. But the mulatto class was the mixed class. It was a mixed race class. That was an actual classification in 1850. So in the near future, I would not be surprised if they brought it back, because one of the growing populations is the mixed race population. The reason being is because you have black mixed with white, which is one of the biggest populations. You have Asian mixed with white, and you have white mixed with Latino. So basically, white mixed with black, white mixed with Asian, and white mixed with Latino. Those are the three main most um, popular groups here in America. Okay, so you guys, I'm going to read a little bit of a snippet of the Psychology Today article about the biracial advantage. It says people of mixed race occupy a unique position in the U.S. Their experiences of both advantage and challenge may reshape how all Americans perceive race. Okay, then it goes on to say, let me see where it says the mother of all demographic surveys, the U.S. Census began allowing Americans to report more than one race only in 2000. Since then, however, the number of people ticking multiple boxes has risen dramatically. Okay? It says today mixed race marriages are at a high, and the number of multicultural Americans is growing 3 times as fast as the population as a whole. According to the Pew Research Center, although multiracial people account for only an estimated 7% of Americans today, their numbers are expected to soar to 20% by the year 2015. And then I want to also read to you guys another article. Now, this article that I'm going to read to you guys is very interesting because it talks about the mentality, the psyche of a mixed race person. And this is very important because I think this will help us understand why, you do have a lot of people who are mixed race. They don't feel like they should have to be, forced to pick one race over the other. They don't feel like, and they also don't feel like, that there are just one race of anything. And this is why I say we have to get rid of that old one drop rule. That old one drop rule is dated. It has to go. It no longer, yes, of course, socially, which means nothing, right? Social anything, it doesn't mean anything. It's just the outside. It doesn't mean anything. But socially, yes, socially, a mixed race person may go outside. You may have some who can pass for white, and you have some who can't pass for white. They just look like a light-skinned black person, right? But that doesn't matter. What matters is their mentality. And this is why we get these people like Doja Cat. We get the people like, some people say Halle Berry. We get, all these people who seem to be, they are black on the outside, but they think differently. They vote differently. They hold different political views as it relates to race, which is this other article that I'm going to read, is going to point all of these things out, and it really gives you an inside look on what we already see and know. But so many of our people are so desperate to be connected to, a mixed race person, which, to be honest with you, historically, that was the standard. Like, as a black person, being mixed race, light skin, light eyes, hair not as coarse or whatever, like that was the standard, right? And so I feel like you have a lot of people who have these unconscious feelings and emotions about looking like that or being like that. And to be quite honest, it's just sad because I'm not going to get into that. That's a whole nother video. That's for a whole nother time. So let me go ahead and read this other article for you guys. And then after that, I'm going to go ahead and make my closing statements and just close out. Okay, so this next article is a Stanford article. It was written March the 29th, 2018. And it goes, Stanford scholar examines biracial youth's political attitudes and self-identification factors. Okay, it goes on to say, biracial youth who identify with the race of both of their parents tend to be more socially progressive and liberal than their peers who are a single racial background, according to a new research from a Stanford political scientist. The multiracial population is one of the fastest growing groups in the United States. An assistant professor, Davenport, an assistant professor of political science. Curious to know more about how this group aligns politically, Davenport analyzed data from the U.S. Census and National Survey of College Students. She also conducted the in-depth interviews with biracial youth to explain what factors into their self-identification and shapes their political attitudes. You guys listen to this next part because this is really going to give you an inside look so that you understand many mixed race people, okay? Davenport found that gender and socioeconomic status are among the strongest predictors of how a person of mixed race chooses to identify. Let me read that again. Davenport found that gender and socioeconomic status are among the strongest predictors of how a person of mixed race chooses to identify. Biracial women are more likely than men to identify with both of their races rather than one. And biracial people from more affluent backgrounds are more likely to identify as just white. Davenport discusses her findings and their implications of America's future in her new book. And it says, she categorized people who have parents of two different races as biracial, focusing the research on the three largest biracial groups in the U.S. People of black and white, Latino and white, and Asian and white backgrounds. Okay, it says evidence from surveys and interviews show that biracials identities are the product of their interpersonal interactions, environment, cultural practices, appearance, and most compellingly, gender and socioeconomic status. Gender is one of the most important predicators of racial identity. So I'm not going to read the entire article. I'm just gonna sum it up for you guys. So it just talked about how gender plays a major part in how those of mixed race people identify. Um, females are more likely to identify with their white side as opposed to their quote unquote minority side, or black, Asian, or Latino side. And then the males are more likely to identify with the more minority side as opposed to the dominant side, which is the white. And when I say dominant, I don't mean genes dominant. I mean dominant as in dominant society side. But it also goes on to talk about just the political views, how mixed race people vote, what they're more likely to, the policies that they're more likely to vote for. So basically, those people who are mixed race, if they identify more with their non-black side, they're going to vote and think as such. Their world views will be seen as such. And a lot of that has to do with their environment, how they grow up, who they grow up around. This is why it's very important for those who are mixed race to, have both sides. And a lot of times we see, I mean, you don't even have to be mixed race to grow up only knowing one side of your family a little bit more than you know the other. For example, I grew up knowing my dad's side more than my mother's side. Um, we always went around my dad's side of the family, and my mom's side, we really didn't go around like that growing up. It wasn't until I got older and I understood the importance of, family and knowing your family, knowing, both sides of your family, where I kind of took the initiative to make sure I knew my mom's side just as well as I knew my father's side. But that's just how it was growing up. And in many cases, a lot of families go through that. What I tend to see with mixed race people, whether they have white mothers or white fathers, um, a lot of mixed race people tend to, lean more towards the dominant society, meaning the white society, because that's the less threatening side. And especially if they can pass for white, they are definitely going to lean towards that side because, in their minds, they think it's a little bit easier. It's not as harsh. They don't get judged or stereotyped as much. And we're talking about, not necessarily because, again, being black is not all about looks. We got black people that are from all different shades, okay? So this is not just about a skin tone. This is deeper. This is a mentality. This is their world views. This is deeper than just the skin tone. So, I mean, I hope you guys can understand that. And that's pretty much what I'm trying to break down. This is why I say Doja Cat is not a black woman. She's not. She's a mixed race woman. Her walk through life is totally different than my walk through life. I am a black woman. Some of the issue, yes, when it comes to race, socially, and racial issues, yes, we may face some of the same issues, and I said some of the same issues. But because she's mixed race, I mean, her journey is just different from my own. I'm a black woman. You can look at me and tell I'm black. I can never pass for a white woman. I would never want to pass for a white woman or any other woman for that, any other non-black woman for that matter. And so, that's the mentality that I have. And so, there's no wonder why, people are finding out. And again, this doesn't stop with Doja Cat. This goes on. I mean, you guys, it doesn't stop with just her. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. And yes, you do have some black people or some people who are mixed race who they do identify with being black because when they go out into society, that's how they're seen and that's how they're treated. But then you have a lot of other ones like your Meghan Markles, I mean, again, Meghan Markle, she basically said that she never identified as being black. She always identified as being mixed race or white, Caucasian. Okay, and apparently in some places she could pass for that. Apparently, or they allowed her to pass for that, or made her feel like she could. I don't know, but okay. So I'm gonna stop right there. It goes on, and I will post a link in the description box. But again, you guys, I brought up all of these receipts because I wanted to for you guys to see that, when you have a person who's mixed race, they, depending on the background, depending on whether or not they were raised by their white mother, white fathers, all of that plays a part in how they identify. And to be quite honest, just because they are mixed with black doesn't mean that they have to automatically just identify as black. They don't have to. They can identify as being mixed race. And those who can pass there are some who can pass and they identify as white. We seen it with Zimmerman. He didn't look white, but we seen on his paperwork where he had sometimes put that he was a white man. That is my point. That is the very point. So we need to really get rid of that whole one drop rule and all that. That stuff really don't mean anything. It's about how these people mentally think, their mindset. It has nothing to do with what they look like. They can, it could be a person who is brown just like me, look in the mirror every single day. They be big old Afro Latino person. You know what I'm saying? Looking in the mirror and they don't see that they are black at all. They don't see nothing even close. Okay? So I hope that this helped you guys. I think for now that's all I have. If I missed anything, you guys give me, what you guys think about this particular topic. Again, I stand on what I said. I do not believe Doja Cat is black because she's not. Logically, she's not. She's a mixed race woman. She should be able to classify herself as such. And the black people, we shouldn't get mad if she wants to classify as not being black, and because she was raised by a white mother, she never knew her African father, then so be it. That way it's not a surprise when we get these mixed race people who we find out don't like being black or don't like being correlated or connected to their black side. That way we don't have to be outraged and it's not such a big old surprise because again, if they're mixed race, they can choose to identify with one gene more than the other. That's just what it is. I mean, I don't see any problems with that. And to be quite honest with you, for all the black men that were really outraged about, her choosing and wanting to be with white men over black men, you guys should be glad. You guys should be glad because you don't want a woman who doesn't know who she is or who has an issue identifying with her black side anyways. So that's a good thing for you guys. That's all I have. You guys leave your comments in the description. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. I appreciate you guys and leave some comments down for me. Let's start this conversation. Let me see what you guys are thinking. Bye.